January 26, 1945. It was early afternoon in the village of Holtzwihr, a sleepy town northeast of France, near the German border. Second Lieutenant Audie Murphy stood at the edge of the woods, coat pulled tight, breath clouding the air as he watched the open ground ahead. The snow in the fields lay thin and gray, churned by boots and tracked vehicles into a slick, frozen paste. The silence pressed hard on his ears. He let out a soft yawn. Then it happened. It broke with artillery. One shell after another slammed into the frozen earth, throwing up snow and dirt. The noise was deafening and unrelenting. Audie ducked, then straightened, binoculars already in his hands. What he saw through the drifting smoke sent a chill down his spine. 6 tanks and assault guns, their hulking shapes crawling forward towards their lines, and swarming with German infantry moving close behind, rifles at the ready. It was a relief that these were not the feared German Tigers. No. These were smaller, but their sheer numbers were enough to make any company sergeant break out a sweat. They were built to support infantry and break thin defensive lines. They were doing exactly that. One of them shot towards the American lines, the shell screaming past Audie's position and shattering a tree a fair distance behind him. Murphy turned and shouted orders, his voice cutting through the chaos. Fall back, into the trees, move. His company began to withdraw in small groups, slipping into the cover of the woods as machine gun whizzed past their heads. Murphy moved between them, pushing, pointing, making sure no one froze in a panic or lagged behind. Tank shells tore branches apart. A man stumbled. Murphy grabbed him and shoved him toward cover. A German round struck an American M10 tank destroyer near the tree line. The vehicle exploded and erupted into flames, black smoke boiling upward. Ammunition inside began to cook off, sharp cracks echoing across the field. Its crew bailed out in panic. Murphy watched the last of his men disappear into the woods. He stayed alone. He dropped into a shallow depression near the burning destroyer and grabbed the field telephone. His voice was calm as he called in artillery fire, adjusting the rounds as the German infantry pressed forward behind the armor. Explosions walked across the field, forcing the enemy to slow. Then a shell landed close. The blast hurled Murphy backward. Pain exploded in his leg. He lay still for a moment, stunned, snow melting beneath him. Then he pushed himself up, gritting his teeth. The tanks were closer now. The infantry fanned out, rifles and machine guns firing into the trees. The tank destroyer burned hotter. Flames licked along its hull. Smoke rolled low across the field. Murphy made his decision. He climbed onto the wreck. The heat was unbearable. His coat began to smoke. Below him, the destroyer's ammunition detonated in violent pop. Murphy ignored it all and swung the mounted .50 caliber machine gun toward the advancing infantry. He opened fire. The heavy weapon hammered, its recoil shuddering through his body. It raked the ranks of the German infantry. Some soldiers fell where they stood, others dove for cover. Murphy swept the gun back and forth, firing in long bursts, breaking up the attack before it could close on the woods. Bullets struck around him. One tore into his already wounded leg. He cried out, then gritted his teeth. Somehow Murphy stayed upright, shouting into the field phone between bursts, dragging artillery fire closer and closer to the enemy. For nearly an hour, in the early afternoon light, Murphy stood alone on the burning vehicle, wounded, exposed, directing artillery and firing until the field in front of him was littered with motionless shapes. The German armor hesitated. Without infantry support, the tanks could not push into the trees. One by one, they began to pull back, engines grinding as they reversed through the smoke and snow, leaving the battlefield. The field soon fell quiet. Murphy fired a final burst, then climbed down from the destroyer. His legs nearly gave out. He limped into the woods where his men stared at him in stunned silence. Someone reached for him. He waved them away. "Get set," he said. They could try again. They didn't. Murphy reorganized the company, set new positions, and only then allowed himself to be treated. The adrenaline drained away, leaving only exhaustion and the dull throb of pain. For his exceptional valor in combat, Audie Murphy received the Medal of Honor, America's highest military decoration. Murphy would survive the war and pass away on May 28, 1971, aged 45. Please like and subscribe for more.